Hi, my name is Hobart, and my climate is changing. I have friends here at the University of Texas that are trying to help me understand this dilemma. First, let's go this way.
My research that pertains to climate change involves reconstructing changes in the chemistry of groundwater as it drips into caves. And in order to do this, we look at the formations that grow in caves, such as speleothems, stalagmites and stalactites.
Is there anyone else?
Biologists.
Biologists? What, like twigs and berries? I have very real problems.
So I work on the impacts of climate change in natural systems primarily. And my own study organism is a butterfly, but recently I'm better known for doing huge synthetic analyses across the globe for all organisms. And in doing that, what I've been able to find is that about 50% of all organisms have shown some sort of response to climate change.
Who works with you?
Geographers.
Geographers? To the mini-map!
I do a lot of my research up in the high Andean mountains, and about 10 years ago we started picking up evidence of plants changing in the high elevations, and now we've expanded the research to include land use systems, so agriculture and grazing systems are also shifting in terms of elevation with climate change. So every bit of glacial ice that was in this landscape in central Peru is now melted within the last 10 years. Water systems for both urban populations or agriculture on the coast are really threatened, and that's big economic risk. And I think that's why people are starting to really pay attention to it.
Who works with you?
Biologists.
Biologists. More twigs and berries. Twigs and berries. Twigs and berries.
So about half of my research program is on climate change impacts, and in particular on the impacts of shifts in temperature and precipitation on plants, on soils, and on how ecosystems function. We have several funded experiments looking at climate change. One is at a long-term field site in Northern California, where we've been manipulating precipitation for the last 7 years. We do a lot of experimental work in greenhouse and incubation chambers where we manipulate temperature and precipitation in really controlled ways.
All right, let's kick it up a notch with some rock and roll and talk to a geologist. Get it? Bear joke.
My research is on carbon storage or carbon sequestration, and the general concept here is that we will capture the CO2 from point sources like power plants or industries that burn a lot of fossil fuel. And instead of putting it up the smokestack, we will compress it and inject it into the earth, so it makes a closed cycle. We have a slogan. We say, put it back. Take the carbon out of the earth, put it back underground.
Yeah, put it back. Who do you work with?
Biologists.
Biologists? Another one? Oh, a fishy biologist. Fishy, fishy, fishy.
I've been on the ocean, so I've been looking at the nearshore ecosystem and somewhat the offshore ecosystem. So I'm looking at food webs, and I'm looking at changes in kelp growth as well as vertebrates, fish, polychaete worms, bivalve mollusks. And by looking at those animals, by what they eat and how tightly coupled they are to each other in terms of a food web, you can tell a lot about what changes have been taking place.
Who do you work with?
Geologists.
Geologists? Back to the mini-map. Hey, I think I can see my house.
So the work that we do is we go to Antarctica and we do geophysics. We want to know where the ocean is, we want to know where the slippery spots are. So we fly an airplane over the ice sheet and we measure how thick it is using radar, and we measure the surface slopes using a laser altimeter. And so we'll do repeat measurements to see if the ocean is getting farther and farther inland.
Who do you work with?
Economists.
Economists? I didn't see that one coming. Think it could help me with my IRAs?
The work I do is focused on what we should do about global climate change, sort of what policies can address and help mitigate the problem. So the research specifically that I've done in this area is comparing different possible sort of large-scale regulatory policies. What policies will reduce emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases?
Alright, let's kick it home with a montage about people we didn't cover.
Climatologists,
glaciology,
Atmospheric scientists or oceanographers or
Engineers and economists,
Paleontologists,
hydrogeologists,
I have botanists with me.
physical oceanographers,
have geophysicists too.
Engineers,
landscape planners,
The climate scientists.
the economist and the sociologist and the people in the health industry.
restoration ecologists,
Computer scientists,
Glaciologists,
From economists to engineers to sociologists.
with climate modelers, with
electrical engineers,
archaeologists, actually.
so glaciologists. We even work with biologists because
climatologists, atmospheric chemists.
And of course, climate scientists.
The end. Arr.